Welcome to 10 Minutes with Tony Scott. I'm Tony Scott and I appreciate you tuning in today. Today's show is brought to you by Gentry Academy. Gentry Academy is a private school in Blaine that provides its students a high-end education and high-end hockey training. Later in the show, we'll be interviewing Jen and Connor Kurth about their experience with the school. Let's get the show started with congratulating a few tourney winners last weekend. Woodbury Squirt A won the Prairie Shootout last weekend in EP, as did Edina won the Squirt Bs with a nice win over Cedar Rapids. Dylan Godbout was our Lots of Matza player of the game, and Peter Mollison was the pizza winner for the Edina Whites, and the Nets turning away 25 shots in the championship game for the Hornets. Laverne won the Bantam A tournament in Duluth, and Moorhead Bantam B won the Potato Classic last weekend in Moorhead. Last week, we announced the pairings for the Founders Cup. Again, we can't express how excited we are for this event. 24 teams from all over Minnesota. Some big name players representing their cities and associations up on the Iron Range. We think that Duluth East Pee Wee AA will advance to the finals, but will be knocked off by Matamidi Single A's team on Sunday at the Memorial Building in Hibbing. All bracket championships games will be live streamed on Sunday, as will 10 other games. Stay tuned for listings of those games. This week's featured now prospect is Marco Reifenberger. The 6-foot sophomore forward from Hillmurray had 3 goals and 3 assists last week for the Pioneers and 14 points in 7 games for the private school in Maplewood. Last week's featured player was Jack Olson. The freshman forward had a Hattie versus Farmington last Thursday night. Jack now leads all AA freshmen in scoring with 12 points. We'll be back in just a moment to wrap up the show, but first we have a quick interview with Jen and Connor Kurth from Gentry Academy. We have Jen and Connor Kurth in from Gentry Academy in our studio to talk a little bit about the school. I know Jen and Connor more as crazy hockey mom and awesome hockey player from Elk River, but today we're going to talk a little bit about school and their involvement at Gentry Academy. Let's start with you, Jen. Talk a little bit about your involvement and role at Gentry Academy.
I am the education director there. I take care of the day-to-day operations. I also teach all of our sections of social studies and 6th grade science.
All right, so you teach those grades. You teach all the grades at Gentry, and it's 5th through 7th, correct?
Yep, this year we're 5 through 7. Next year we're planning to do 5 through 8, and that's
where about all it's going to be, right? As a middle school age kids. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the entire curriculum for the school.
Sure, we follow the Minnesota State Standards. We teach the 4 core classes of science, social studies, language arts, and math. We have leadership taught by Megan Stone. It's based on her book, Owning Your Education. And then we have Win Time, which is what I need. Students can work on some areas that might be missing, some gaps in their education. And then we also have some kids who work on enrichment during that time.
Okay, great. Now, Connor, you're a student at Gentry Academy. Let's talk a little bit about some of the favorite things you like about going to school there.
My favorite class, I'd have to say, is language arts class.
Does your mom teach that?
No.
She doesn't, okay.
Miss Walter does.
Okay.
And it's really fun because we get to do a lot of fun things. Because when we write, like about essays and things like that, we get to have fun. Like we just did a essay about how to make a peanut butter and jelly, and Miss Walter had to make it, and it didn't turn out great. And
I like it.
And we get to listen to our audio book as well as read it, so it makes it more fun.
So speaking of fun, I think off camera you told me that Miss Walter gives you candy during class,
yeah.
right? She's the fun teacher, right?
She is the fun teacher.
Is your mom the fun teacher?
Mm-mm.
Definitely not.
No.
Definitely not. Well, good deal. Let's talk a little bit of hockey, okay? That's an easy one for you.
Yeah.
Tell me about your favorite parts of the hockey parts at Gentry Academy.
Well, my favorite parts is, I'm sure a lot of people's parts, playing the games.
Yep. You guys play games while you're there at school?
Sometimes when Coach Skinner's not there.
I love it. I love it. So when the cat's away, the mice play, right?
Yep.
All right. So what are some of when Coach Skinner's there from a skill development part? What are some of the stuff that you like working with him on?
I like working with the stick handling because that is really fun, and we get to work on that, and my hands have improved a ton because of it.
So we talked about a little Coach Skinner. Who are your favorite coaches at the school? Is it Atherton or Skinner? Or?
I like them all, but I'd have to say Coach Skinner because he comes to some of my games and explains what I need to work on and what I've done good on. So that's cool.
Great. Thanks, Connor, for joining us. Let's get back to Jen really quick. Tell me something that you can't really find on the website or inside of a video. Something you just can't write in a brochure. What's the thing you kind of pinpoint as something about Gentry Academy that you can't find there on the website?
Yeah, we are so much more than a hockey school. We are really a family. I mean, the relationships that the students have with each other, with their teachers and with their coaches, you really can't find that anywhere else. It's a pretty amazing place.
Well, that's great. That's great. We only had a short time here with you guys. I appreciate you coming in for the interview and being on 10 Minutes with Tony Scott. Merry Christmas to you and the rest of your family, and happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us.
Another new feature of the show this week is the Tweet of the Week. As most know, each week we filter through thousands of tweets on our Twitter feed. We thought it would be cool to feature one that we liked. This week's comes from Mark Starrett from Laverne's Bantam A team. It simply reads, "Can't wait for the Duluth tournament this weekend and show the city teams we can play with them." What makes this tweet of the week material is not only did they show the city teams they could play, but they won all 5 games in 3 days to win the Duluth tournament this past weekend. Nice job, Mark. Boom roasted. In the spirit of the holiday season, we have chosen not to roast anyone this week. The only roasting that should take place are chestnuts on an open fire. Thumbs up. This week, thumbs ups go out to 3 teams that beat number 1 teams in the last week or so. First, Mounds View Arndale beat number 1 Orono in Bantam A. Osseo Maple Grove beat number 1 Edina Green in Pee Wee B. And Lakeville beat previously unbeaten in number 1 Eastview in U10A. Thumbs up to all of these teams who knocked off number 1s. As we conclude our last show before the holiday season, thanks for tuning in to our show. We really appreciate all of the positive responses to our content. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.